Welcome back to the Vandy Sports Podcast. I'm Joey Dwyer here to break down another Vanderbilt commitment. Malik Presley today announced that he'll be committing to Vanderbilt. It's Vanderbilt's fifth player in the 2023 class, and really is every coaching staff in the country has zigged. Jerry Stackhouse and staff have zagged, and that's really apparent in seeing how Stackhouse and staff have recruited the high school level as opposed to the portal. Up to 5 high school commitments in this class and 1 portal commitment. Obviously, 2 spots left, 2 scholarships open, so that could be filled with a guy like Isaac Jack or another guy who Vanderbilt has interest in, and obviously Vanderbilt's needs now shift to the front court, but Presley's a really nice get and kind of signifies where Vanderbilt's looking and how Stackhouse is trying to build this program. 2 back-to-back 5-man classes, and really both groups have obviously high upside. Still 3 guys from the 2022 class on the roster, and now with Malik Presley in this class is Isaiah West, Carter Lang, J.Q. Roberts, Jason Rivera-Torres, and now Malik Presley. Presley's stacking up really with any of them as an athlete. Roberts, I think, is a slightly better athlete, but Presley has that practical athleticism we talk about with Tyron Lawrence, and I think that's where we need to start. If you watch Presley's tape, the athletic plays stand out over and over again, and really clear to see why Stackhouse and company liked Presley in particular. It's a guy who is a versatile defender, told me he thinks he can guard 1 through 5. Just a tremendous athlete who really can make plays around the rim in any form or fashion, and that'll probably translate to the college level as well. But talking to his high school coach, Daniel Miller, he echoed the sentiment that there's a lot of athletic wings in the SEC and not all of them to succeed, but he thinks what can set Presley apart is his will to get better, and where that's going to show up is the perimeter. And Presley told me that he wants to be a guy who can become a knockdown guy from the perimeter right now, thinks he's a good shooter, but he has another step to take there in his mind and his coach's mind to where he can be a knockdown type guy at the next level, and that's probably what's going to get him on the floor. If he can space the floor, if he can shoot it well enough to play the 3 at the next level and maybe get his own off the dribble a little bit. Really think he's defined as more of a slasher than a catch and shoot guy, but that catch and shoot ability can really be a nice complement to that slashing ability and his ability to get downhill. If you have to guard him on the perimeter, if you have to guard him on the 3-point line and really get out on him, then a lot's opened up for him in terms of getting to the basket and making plays around the rim. See Tyron Lawrence, who really developed his outside shot throughout the year and was able to get to the rim at a high level because of that and his ability to get by guys. So Presley, I think, maybe doesn't have the ceiling of a Lawrence, but certainly has that kind of mold of if he can knock down shots to a high enough level, his athleticism and his defensive versatility, I think the versatility is a little bit better than Lawrence as well, will carry him into a role. And I think he's an interesting fit with this class. I think he's a guy that was too good to not take. If you're Vanderbilt, visited this weekend, loved it, and was a late addition to this class. Had a top 3 in the fall of Texas A&M, and Arizona State. So obviously that kind of shows you how much interest he had and how high level of a prospect he was, and still really is. Still a guy who, in my mind, is probably a top 150, top 200 guy, and is one of the better guys in this class for Vanderbilt. Just a really nice player who I think does have some developing to do, but maybe could give you some things early because of that defensive versatility, because of that athleticism. Similarly to J.Q. Roberts, that athleticism does play, and I think ultimately one of those guys is going to see the floor a lot. It's going to depend on who makes shots, and I think the year after this year, when Evan Taylor's gone, those guys have a huge opportunity to step into bigger roles and get bigger minutes. There's 3 guys on the wing who are going to compete for playing time. It's Rivera-Torres, it's Presley, and it's J.Q. Roberts. So those guys are probably going to compete for backup minutes this year at the 3 and maybe at the 2 or the 4. Presley told me yesterday or Wednesday that he thinks he's more of a 2-3 rather than a 3-4, like I think J.Q. Roberts is, and like maybe Rivera-Torres is as well. So there's certainly a lot of talent on the wings for Vanderbilt in this class, and a lot of guys who can maybe give them something early. I don't know if any of these guys are finished products, but I think there's guys who can knock down shots. There's defensive versatility, switchability in that group, and Presley obviously signifies that. I think his defensive versatility is going to come in really handy, and maybe better than some of the other guys on this roster. I think as a whole, Vanderbilt's getting more athletic, and Vanderbilt's getting longer, which I think is really something Jerry Stackhouse wanted out of this group. Last year he talked in the preseason about wanting to kind of put some pressure on teams, didn't force many turnovers this year. I think that was largely a personnel issue. Not a lot of guys who can get out and out-athlete you and force you into turnovers. So Vanderbilt really struggled in that area at times. But now I think as this group kind of develops and this group of wings and athletes gets older, Vanderbilt can do a lot in terms of switching everybody and really just being more of a hectic defensive team, which I think is what Stackhouse really wanted long term. So this is a group that I think may have a logjam early, but you can kind of see Stackhouse's vision, if that is what his vision is, of, hey, we want to have guys who can get out and switch. We want to get guys who can out-athlete you and make things hectic for you on the offensive end in this class. Really signifies that Wes can get up into you as a ball handler. Lang obviously can push you off position a little bit. I think he maybe isn't quite the Lee Dort type athlete down low, but can obviously do some nice things. And then you have the three wings who are all good athletes, are all long and versatile, who can make things happen there as well. So a lot of good things to like in this class. I'm not sure that there's a maybe can't miss guy in this class, like a 5-star JJ Starling type guy, but there's guys in this class who will certainly make things happen. There's not a Darius Garland, but there's a lot of really good players here who, with proper development, which Jerry Stackhouse and staff believe they can do, can be really nice players. And you can see allergies. You can see that there's guys who have faith in Stackhouse's development program, and Presley certainly one of those, brought up that he thinks Stackhouse would be a guy who can develop him well. Time and time again, when I talked to him yesterday, you can see that interview on this YouTube channel, and then obviously a few articles on vandysports.com, so check those out. But there's guys in this class who believe that Stackhouse can develop them and his staff can develop them, and I think Stackhouse has wanted to make that his model, is player development, not going through the portal and reshuffling your roster every year. Frankly, that can't really be the blueprint for Vanderbilt. This has to be the blueprint. You have to have classes and keep them together and have guys grow and develop under Stackhouse. So that's the blueprint for this team, and this class seems to be filling that. There's a lot of guys in this class who have high upside. Obviously, I think all of them have high upside in their own ways and can become capable SEC guys in their own ways. It's just up to development now, and that's the model they want to instill. They want to have guys who come in and get better over the course of the 4 years and do a lot of good things for them as they get older and grow together and stay old together. So good get for Vanderbilt with Malik Presley, and a guy who has a really interesting story as well. He talked to me yesterday or Wednesday about his spleen, and had a torn spleen right before his senior season of high school. Couldn't walk for 2 weeks, but learned a lot about adversity and battling it throughout that process. So Presley is a guy who certainly isn't thin-skinned and is able to deal with a lot of things like that. So watch more of that interview on Vandy Sports or on the Vandy Sports YouTube. I think that's a really interesting story. Maybe not one that defines him, and I think that's the main thing to take away from that story, is that it didn't define Presley's career. May have thrown a knot in some things, but obviously allowed him to get to where he is now and get to Vanderbilt, played every game of his senior season after tearing his spleen and not being able to walk for 2 weeks, just like before that, just right before the season started. So really cool story with the last 2 Vanderbilt commits, and told that story more in depth at vandysports.com. So read that. Thank you guys for watching, and God bless. Peace.